I'm sure you've all experienced this before. You wake up in the morning, walk past the litter box, and notice your male cat going in and out, every 2 minutes. You see him squatting, straining, his little body trembling. You look down, the litter is completely dry. You rush him to the ER, hand over your card, and pray.
Thousands of dollars later, he comes home with a catheter, a cone, and a bag of prescription kibble. You breathe a sigh of relief. But weeks later, it happens again and again. The recurrence rate is devastating. You lie awake at night, terrified that any moment you'll hear that howl again. And the next time, you might not be so lucky. But what if I told you that your cat's repeated blockages aren't your fault, and it isn't just bad luck or a bad batch of food? What if I told you that the reason they keep blocking is a hidden cycle of chronic inflammation that conventional prescription diets often fail to break? Even better, what if I told you that there is a gentle, natural, and incredibly affordable herbal remedy that has been used for centuries to soothe the bladder, flush the kidneys, and stop those razor-sharp crystals from forming in the first place?
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Lee, your neighborhood veterinarian, and welcome back to the channel. In my clinic, urinary blockages and the devasmerses I see. The panic of a blocked cat is incredibly real. As a holistic-leaning veterinarian, I believe in treating the root cause, not just putting out the fire. I believe in using the power of natural herbal remedies alongside emergency medicine for the long haul. So grab a cup of coffee and a notebook. Today, I'm going to give you 4 powerful concrete tools to stop the cycle of recurrence. First, I'm going to explain and why the scarring makes them block again.
Why does your cat block again after you've spent thousands of dollars clearing them out? Let's talk about the anatomy of a crisis. A male cat's urethra is incredibly narrow. It's about the thickness of a thin drinking straw. When your cat is dehydrated, their urine becomes highly concentrated. Minerals like struvite and calcium oxalate stick together, forming microscopic crystals that look like shards of crushed glass. Those shards scrape the bladder wall, causing bleeding and inflammation. The body responds by sending mucus to coat the wounds. Now you have crystals, blood, and mucus all floating around. That mixture forms a gritty plug. When that plug tries to pass through the tiny drinking straw urethra, it gets completely stuck. The bladder swells, the kidneys back up, and the toxins go straight into the bloodstream. It's fatal. Now, here is the part most vets don't tell you. The emergency catheterization that saves their life, it physically scrapes the inside of that narrow urethra. This causes microscopic tears. When those tears heal, they form scar tissue. Scar tissue is stiff. It doesn't stretch. It makes the urethra even narrower than before. So the next time crystals form, and they will if we don't change the environment, they get stuck even faster.
I've seen it in my clinic 1,000 times. A blocked cat comes in, we unblock him, he goes home. Months later, he's back, completely blocked again. The owner is devastated and thousands of dollars poorer. The food alone isn't enough to fight the inflammation that keeps the cycle going. We have to do more.
If conventional diets focus on changing the pH and reducing minerals, they often miss the elephant in the room: chronic inflammation. Inflamed bladder walls produce more mucus, and more mucus means more sticky plugs. We have to soothe the tissues. We need a natural anti-inflammatory that works systemically. Enter Plantago asiatica, commonly known as plantain herb. Now, this is not the banana-like plantain. This is a leafy green herb that has been used in traditional Chinese medicine and Western herbalism for centuries to treat urinary tract infections and kidney disorders. And here is why it works for your cat.
A recent 2024 study published in the Journal of Ethnopharmacology investigated Plantago asiatica extract on feline kidney cells. The study found that it effectively inhibited a major inflammatory pathway called TLR4, YD88, NF-kappa B. In plain English, it calms the immune overreaction that causes swelling and tissue damage in the kidneys and bladder. It is an antioxidant powerhouse that protects the delicate filtering units of the kidney.
But plantain isn't a diuretic by itself.
That's where our second ingredient comes in. Corn silk, those fine, webby, golden threads from ears of corn, is one of nature's most gentle diuretics. Studies show that corn silk increases urine volume, flushing out the bladder and diluting the minerals so they can't clump together into crystals. It also acts as a soothing demulcent. It coats the irritated bladder lining, reducing the urge to strain and the pain of inflammation. Together, plantain and corn silk form a dynamic duo. One soothes the inflammation at the cellular level, the other flushes the system and keeps the urine diluted. They work in perfect synergy to change the environment inside the bladder and break the recurrence cycle.
Step 1. Go to a reputable herbal supply store or order online. You need dried, organic Plantago asiatica leaves and dried organic corn silk. Make absolutely sure there are no additives, preservatives, or pesticides. Step 2. Take a standard kitchen scale and measure exactly 5 grams of the dried plantain and 5 grams of the dried corn silk. Step 3. Put them in a small pot on your stove. Add about 2 cups, that's roughly 500 milliliters, of fresh, filtered water. Bring it to a rolling boil, then immediately reduce the heat to a low simmer. Let it simmer gently for 10 full minutes. Turn off the heat. Let it steep covered for another 10 minutes. For a cat dealing with acute bladder spasms and straining, the dosage is incredibly precise. Give 1 teaspoon, about 5 milliliters, of this cooled tea 3 times a day.
Because it is practically tasteless and lacks the bitter smell of commercial medicine, you can easily mix it directly into a high-moisture wet food, a premium bone broth, or a lickable treat. Over 3 to 5 days, as the plantain washes over the urinary tract, the swelling retreats, the straining stops, and your cat pees comfortably all by themselves, without a single drop of synthetic chemicals. We are coming to the most critical chapter of this entire masterclass. Chapter 4, the Go Now Zone. If I didn't tell you this, I'd be failing you as a doctor. I taught you how to use herbs to prevent blockages, but sometimes the horse has already left the barn. And if you ignore these signs, no amount of tea will save them.
If you see your cat walking in and out of the litter box every 2 minutes, squatting, straining, and producing absolutely nothing, if you hear them howling in pain, if you see them licking their genitals obsessively, if you find tiny drops of blood outside the box, these are all signs of a complete urethral obstruction. When this happens, the bladder swells to the size of a tennis ball. Toxic potassium backs up into the bloodstream.
Go to the emergency vet immediately. The procedure involves placing a urinary catheter under sedation to flush out the plug. It may cost anywhere from $1,500 to $4,000 depending on your location, but it is life-saving. And caught early, the survival rate is over 95%. Red flag number 2, excessive drinking. We spent this entire video trying to get your cat to drink more. So what happens if suddenly, out of nowhere, your cat is glued to the water bowl, draining it completely every single day? You might think, oh great, they are finally hydrated. No, that is a terrifying red flag. If an older cat suddenly begins drinking massive amounts of water and peeing massive lakes in the litter box, their body is sounding an alarm. This is almost always the primary sign of either feline diabetes, hyperthyroidism, or advanced chronic kidney disease. Their kidneys are failing to concentrate the urine, so the water is just flushing straight out of them like an open faucet, leaving them desperately thirsty. If your cat is suddenly obsessed with water, they need blood work from a veterinarian the very next morning. Catching it early can literally save their life and buy you years of quality time.
If today's video lifted a massive weight of anxiety off your shoulders, please gently hit that like button. If you want to step away from the toxic side effects, endless prescription cycle, and the heartbreaking vet bills, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now and join our family. I'm Dr. Lee. Stay positive, power of nature, and I will see you all in tomorrow's remedy.